Coco Gauff's inclusion in Time magazine's 100 Most Influential People of 2025 has sparked major conversation across the tennis world. While many fans celebrated the achievement, Aryna Sabalenka's reaction quickly became a talking point online. The recognition opened a wider debate about what true influence really means in sports. Some believe athletic success alone should determine who earns spots on influential lists, while others argue that using a platform to speak on social issues and inspire people beyond the court matters just as much. The responses from players and fans revealed deeper tensions about competition, recognition, and the evolving role of athletes in modern culture.
Go for the cover of Time magazine while the tennis star is playing for herself now. After bagging up $23 million last year and winning the U.S. Open, I think she's the first American teen to do so since the Venus and Serena days. But y'all can check me on that. I don't got all my tennis facts on deck like I used to. The shoot is one of my favorites of Coco so far because she is really serving, no pun intended. All of the poses, her eye contact with the camera, everything about this shoot is definitely giving Vogue, not necessarily Time magazine. I also am peeping the Vivienne Westwood. Do we need a fashion collaboration? I would love to see that. She definitely has the look for the runway, or at least a couple editorials, maybe even be the face of a brand or two. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and follow if you're on TikTok.
The announcement hit the tennis world like a shockwave. Time magazine unveiled its list of the 100 most influential people of 2025, and right near the top was Coco Gauff. The 21-year-old American star was not only included on the list, but also featured in a major cover photo shoot and an in-depth profile highlighting her impact beyond tennis. Time presented Gauff alongside global leaders, innovators, activists, and entertainment icons, describing her as one of the young voices helping shape the future. For her fans and supporters, the recognition felt like confirmation of everything she has achieved, both on the court and through her influence off it. But not everyone in the tennis world reacted positively. Aryna Sabalenka's response quickly grabbed attention after she posted a cryptic message on social media saying, "Interesting how influence gets measured these days," followed by a thinking face emoji. Shortly afterward, she shared statistics comparing her career achievements to Gauff's, including Grand Slam titles, weeks ranked world number 1, and tournament victories. The message behind the posts seemed obvious. Sabalenka appeared frustrated that her tennis accomplishments were overlooked, while Gauff received global recognition for influence beyond the sport. As expected, tennis media and fans immediately picked up on the tension, turning the moment into a heated debate about what truly defines influence.
In modern sports, headlines quickly exploded across sports media, with commentators and fans debating whether Aryna Sabalenka had a legitimate point, or whether her reaction came across as bitterness over being left off the list herself. Social media split into two passionate sides almost instantly. Coco Gauff supporters argued that influence goes far beyond trophies and rankings, pointing to her voice on social issues, her leadership, and the way she connects with young people around the world. Meanwhile, Sabalenka's fans insisted that tennis achievements should carry the most weight when it comes to honoring athletes on prestigious lists, especially for players competing at the highest level of the sport. What started as a simple magazine recognition suddenly turned into a much bigger conversation about what society truly values in athletes, whether greatness should be measured only by championships or by the impact someone creates far beyond the court.
Wanted this one. You manifested.
Yes.
How you feeling?
It feels great. I always wanted to win this title. I won the junior one, and I just felt like this was one that was just really meant to be in. To have it happen and still feel so surreal.
When organizations decide who deserves to be celebrated on global platforms, recognize people whose voices, actions, and influence are shaping culture and society on a broader level. Time magazine's list has never been only about sports performance. It is about influence across every part of society. Athletes are included when they grow beyond their sport and begin shaping culture on a larger scale. Michael Jordan became globally influential not just because of championships, but because he transformed sports marketing and changed the worldwide image of basketball. LeBron James earns recognition not only for his achievements on the court, but also for his activism, philanthropy, and business influence.
Coco Gauff is following a similar path, building an identity that extends far beyond tennis itself. The timing of Aryna Sabalenka's reaction made the situation even more interesting. Her comments came immediately after a major tournament victory, a moment that should have been focused entirely on celebrating her own success. Instead, attention shifted toward her frustration over the recognition Gauff was receiving. To many observers, that revealed something deeper. No matter how much Sabalenka wins in tennis, she clearly understands that Gauff is winning another kind of battle, one centered around cultural relevance, public influence, and long-term visibility beyond the sport. For an ultra-competitive athlete used to measuring success through victories and rankings, that realization could understandably be difficult to ignore. Other players responded in much calmer and more supportive ways. Iga Swiatek publicly congratulated Gauff and described the honor as well-deserved recognition for everything she contributes both on and off the court. Jessica Pegula also showed support, speaking proudly about her friend and doubles partner. Even players who were not particularly close to Gauff acknowledged that the recognition made sense considering the impact she has created with her platform. Their reaction stood in sharp contrast to the tension surrounding Sabalenka's posts and highlighted the difference between seeing another athlete's success as inspiring versus
seeing it as competition. The Time magazine photo shoot itself became another major talking point online. Gauff was photographed holding a tennis racket in one hand and a book in the other, symbolizing the balance between athlete and advocate. The styling presented her as both powerful and thoughtful, reinforcing the idea that her influence stretches beyond sports. Even the headline, "The Future Serves Back," was carefully crafted wordplay that captured both her tennis identity and her broader cultural presence. The entire feature positioned Gauff not just as a champion athlete, but as one of the defining young voices of her generation. The entire Time magazine presentation positioned Coco Gauff as someone whose importance extends far beyond sports, which is exactly the message the publication wanted to send, and exactly what appears to frustrate Aryna Sabalenka and some of her supporters. What makes this situation so fascinating is that it reflects a much bigger conversation happening across modern sports about what athletes are expected to represent. For decades, the dominant mindset was simple: play your sport, entertain fans, and stay away from social or political conversations. That old shut up and play mentality defined how many athletes were expected to behave. But today, that model has changed completely. Modern athletes, especially younger stars, understand the power of their platforms and often feel a responsibility to use that influence for causes bigger than sports. Coco Gauff represents this new generation perfectly. She is comfortable speaking about issues that matter to her, connecting directly with fans online, and building an identity that goes beyond tennis results. Sabalenka's reaction, on the other hand, suggests she may be more aligned with the traditional view that performance alone should determine recognition. Neither approach is necessarily wrong, but they lead to very different types of public influence and cultural visibility. The generational aspect is impossible to ignore. Gauff grew up in the social media era, where athletes are expected to
build personal brands, communicate directly with audiences, and stand for something beyond competition. She understands how to use digital platforms to shape conversations and expand her reach. Sabalenka, despite not being much older, appears far less interested in that side of modern sports culture. She prefers to let her performances speak for themselves, which many fans respect, but it can also limit the broader influence that publications like Time magazine look for when creating these lists. Another important layer to the story was Serena Williams writing Gauff's profile for Time. Serena has long represented the blueprint for being more than just an athlete. Beyond dominating tennis, she built businesses, advocated for important causes, and used her global fame to create opportunities for others. Her endorsement of Gauff carried enormous weight because Serena understands both worlds better than almost anyone. She knows what it means to win championships while also becoming a cultural icon. For players like Sabalenka, seeing a legend like Serena publicly validate Gauff's influence may have made the recognition even harder to ignore. The business and marketing implications are also massive for Gauff. Brands today are not only looking for successful athletes, they are searching for personalities with cultural relevance and influence beyond their sport.
Being recognized by Time magazine instantly elevates golf into a different category of celebrity and marketability. It positions her as someone who can represent ideas, movements, and values, not just athletic excellence. In the modern sports world, that kind of influence can become just as valuable as trophies and rankings. Aryna Sabalenka likely understands the bigger picture behind all of this, and that may be part of what makes the situation frustrating from her perspective. Even with stronger tennis statistics in certain areas, Coco Gauff...
Conversations happening in society. There is also an undeniable reality that race, nationality, and representation play a role in how public figures are perceived and celebrated. Gauff, as a young Black American woman who speaks confidently about social issues and empowerment, represents something meaningful to many people around the world. Media organizations today are far more aware of the importance of highlighting diverse voices and stories than they were in previous generations. That does not diminish Sabalenka's achievements or talent in any way, but it does help explain why Gauff's influence resonates so strongly in the current cultural climate. What strengthens Gauff's credibility even further is that her activism is tied to concrete action. Through initiatives like her Serve for Change Foundation, she is focused on supporting underserved communities, funding digital learning opportunities, and creating resources aimed at helping young people succeed. She is not only speaking about making a difference, she is actively investing time and money into causes she believes in. That type of measurable impact gives her a level of influence that extends beyond sports accomplishments alone. Sabalenka has chosen not to focus on that type of public advocacy, which is completely her right, but it naturally leads to a different kind of legacy and public recognition. Mental health advocacy has also become an important part of Gauff's public identity. She speaks openly about the pressures young athletes face, the emotional toll of constant scrutiny, and the importance of protecting mental well-being. Those conversations resonate deeply with younger audiences dealing with similar struggles in their own lives. By showing vulnerability and honesty, Gauff becomes relatable in a way that
Pure athletic dominance cannot always achieve. Once again, this is not something Sabalenka has made central to her public image, and that difference helps explain why the two athletes are viewed so differently when conversations shift from sports performance to cultural influence and societal impact. The tennis establishment has been surprisingly quiet throughout this entire situation. The WTA avoided making any official comments about Coco Gauff's recognition on Time magazine's most influential list, and there was little public response from tournament directors or major tennis officials regarding Aryna Sabalenka's reaction. That silence is interesting because it suggests the sport itself is still figuring out how to handle moments where cultural influence and athletic achievement do not perfectly align. Tennis has always been built around measurable success, such as rankings, titles, and Grand Slam victories. There are clear systems for rewarding performance on the court, but far fewer frameworks for discussing why one athlete may become more culturally influential than another, even if their tennis accomplishments differ. Public reaction, however, appeared far less divided than social media drama initially suggested. Fan polls conducted after the controversy showed overwhelming support for Gauff's inclusion on the Time list. A large majority of respondents agreed that influence today extends beyond athletic success and includes social impact, leadership, representation, and the ability to shape important conversations. Only a smaller percentage supported the idea that tennis achievements alone should determine recognition in situations like this.
Named one of Time magazine's most influential people becomes part of a person's permanent legacy. It is the type of honor that follows someone long after their playing career ends and opens doors far beyond sports. It positions Gauff as more than a tennis champion. It establishes her as a cultural figure whose voice matters in broader conversations about society, leadership, and the future. Those kinds of opportunities and connections often become just as significant as trophies over the course of a lifetime. Sabalenka will almost certainly continue winning tournaments and competing for Grand Slam titles, and her tennis legacy may ultimately include more achievements on the court than Gauff's. But unless she chooses to expand her public role beyond competition, she may never receive the same kind of cultural recognition. In many ways, her reaction to Gauff's Time honor revealed the fundamental difference between the two athletes. Gauff appears to understand that influence today is measured by far more than victories.
and she is intentionally building a legacy designed to last long after her final match is played.